ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ jùmọ̀ kọ orin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àwa ni ògo adúláwọ̀.
Ẹkú kalẹ̀ kúrọ̀lẹ́ o, ẹkú gbogbo bí tẹ́ bá wà, mo kí gbogbo yín èèyàn mi, èèyàn ọmọ Yorùbá rere, kò sẹ́ni tí ò kí ń ṣe rere, gbogbo wa ní rere lágbára Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè. Àwọn tán tí tẹ̀lé wa gbogbo wọ́n máa kó nǹkan tán ń ṣe tó dí wọn lọ́wọ́, wọ́n á tẹ̀lé wa. Àní fẹ́ fi ọmọ Yorùbá kọ̀ọ̀kan lẹ̀ ní ìrìn àjò tá a ti kò sí yìí, no going back. Mo kí Ìgbòho náà tó náà túnbọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, no going back. Gbogbo wa la wà pẹ̀lú wọn. Etí tán gbádùn Ìgbòho yẹn gbogbo wa náà gbá létí. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá rò bí pé wọn gbá yín létí rọ́lẹ́ pa ọ́, gbogbo wa ni o. Àdẹ̀ kí n ṣòye ọmọ Yorùbá ojú lágbára Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè. Ọ̀la ìwọ́de máa wà níwájú 10 Downing from 1 p.m. I'll be there láti bá àwọn èèyàn wa sọ̀rọ̀. Kì í ṣe Prime Minister mo fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn èèyàn wa mo fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀. Nítorí pé tá bá fẹ́ bá Prime Minister sọ̀rọ̀, a máa lọ sí Foreign Office ni. Ibẹ̀ la ní gbogbo bí ìlú wa ṣe jẹ́, ibẹ̀ ni answer ẹ̀ wà. Ibẹ̀ láti máa bẹ̀rẹ̀. Àti gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí ò yẹ, ibi tó yẹ ká lọ àlọ. Ibẹ̀ náà máa ti advice Prime Minister pé nǹkan tí ẹ fẹ́ ṣe o, tó bá jẹ́ pé ó rú yín lójú, báyìí lọ̀rọ̀ ti jẹ́ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ wá. Prime Minister lè jẹ́ nǹkan báyìí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dún báyìí, nǹkan tá a ṣe sí ni, nǹkan tá a dẹ̀ sọ fún àwọn ará bíbá náà nìyẹn. So kẹ́ má rò bóyá Prime Minister ló fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀, àwa ni mo fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀, kọ́rọ̀ lè yé wa, ká má máa tẹ ibi tí ò yẹ ká tẹ̀, kọ́rọ̀ wa lè ní ìyanjú. Tá bá ń tẹ ibi tí ò yẹ ká tẹ̀, ọ̀rọ̀ wa ó máa pẹ́ kó tó níyanjú. Òótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ni, torí lára wa a ti wádìí ọ̀rọ̀ èdè ibi tí pé a ṣe ìpàdé pẹ̀lú Foreign Office ní 1990s. Ká láwọn bàbá wa tá a sọ fún gbọ́ ni, bàbá ti kúrò ní Nàìjíríà tá a sọ yìí. Wọ́n ṣe àwọn ẹsẹ̀ gbé nígbà tán padà délé. Ó dùn wá gidigidi. Lára ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ náà wà, even Ọbásanjọ́, àwọn ìmọ̀ràn kan tí wọ́n fi tẹ̀ wá létí tí wọ́n dẹ̀ fún wa ní kọ́pì ní ìlú yìí, ló jẹ́ kí Ọbásanjọ́ lè rí second term ẹ̀ ṣe. Ló yẹ kó mọ ìdí abájọ nǹkan tó yẹ kó ń ṣe, àwa la fún. Torí ẹ̀ ló ṣe ń sọ pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ ń ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ Prime Minister. ọ̀rọ̀ tí àwọn foreign office máa gbé lọ bá prime minister ni. Torí láyé john, colonial office, foreign and colonial office. Foreign office because àwọn Canada àti Australia àti New Zealand wọ́n ti jẹ́ ìlú, but dominion ni wọ́n. Àwa àti jẹ́ nǹkan kan, àti ẹ̀ tí jẹ́ colony, tọ́rọ̀ wa ti bẹ̀ sí ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ pé ó dà pé wọ́n máa pín wa sí ibì kan. Àwọn French, German and English wọ́n wá sí West Africa, kì í ṣe Nàìjíríà, kò sí Nàìjíríà ń gbà yẹn o. Ẹni tó bá sọ pé Nàìjíríà wa kò wọ́n parọ́ tàn yẹn ni. Àti pé èdè kan táwọn kan máa ń sọ pé the British came to colonize Nigeria. They did not come to colonize Nigeria. They came to construct a portion of West Africa to call their own possession for trade. And when they were doing that construction, they had to battle with the French, Germans, and the Spanish were not there anyway, because they are far down the other side of Africa, both East and West, Angola and the Mozambique area, and some islands in the Atlantic Ocean. So that it was West Africa they were battling to create spheres of influence. And to do that, they had to agree a non-combatant agreement, but a very fierce diplomatic action between the different nations that are battling to take a chunk of Africa to be their own. After the Berlin Conference of 1884-85, it started in November, ended in February, I think February 17 of 1885. At that conference, they agreed that they should not fight over portions of land in Africa. It should not be a new theater of war. They've had enough wars. But they did not envisage that the First World War was going to come in 1914, the same year that we were created. So, looks like we are created out of war. So, one of those interesting exposing the facts. We find that we need to understand, first of all, who are we? Even if I use the analogy of the Bible, God saw mankind creating a Babel, building a very long tower into the sky because they wanted to reach heavens. Well, as the Bible contains, it scattered the whole humanity all over the land and gave them different languages and portions of land to inhabit. So they now became strangers to themselves. And where there was no war against each other, there was some arrangement of peace and understanding and trade. That's what keeps the world going round. Trade in commodity. And to some extent, human beings as slaves is still part of trade. Unfortunately, we bore the brunt of that slave. Starting from the Arabs capturing our people in East Africa, they were the most vicious slave traders. The most vicious slave traders. Sorry, I paused a little bit. I'm back again. So, trying to create an understanding of the beginning. And this is what I term as pé ẹ jẹ́ kí n mọ ẹni tí mo jẹ́, ibo mo ti wá, báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ tí wọ́n pè mí ní Nigerian, tó ń pè mí ní ọmọ Yorùbá. ṣé àwọn bàbá wa ló dá ìlú yẹn lẹ̀ ni? The answer is no. A mọ̀ pé àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè yàtọ̀ sí Amẹ́ríkà bí àwọn yan èdè tiwọn. Wọ́n ní èdè èèbó ti Gẹ̀ẹ́sì ti England làwọn fẹ́ máa sọ. Èdè èèbó ìgbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ yan èdè yẹn, wọ́n ṣe vote between the French language, German language and English language. I'll tell you today, the English language won by 1 vote. And then they decided, they agreed, we shall adopt English language as our national language. That's how it came about. So a gbọ́dọ̀ compare ara wa pẹ̀lú America, because a kì í ṣe àwọn tọ̀hún rìn wá. Gbogbo àwọn tó wà l'Amẹ́ríkà, àwọn tọ̀hún rìn wá ni they came to America. And one interesting fact that I want to let us know, if the people, the strangers from Europe and Asia met in America were strong enough to work on their plantations, they would not have come to Africa to take any slave. That's one reality that some of us have refused to look at. If the people they met in America, when they needed to expand their trade, it's always trade. So why would any African think that the Europeans came to create nations for them and then start to bandy the word Pan-Africanism? On what basis? Is it on the basis of speaking English language or French or Italian, or on the basis of developing a slave language called Swahili? Unfortunately, that's the truth. It made possible the trade in human beings in East Africa. That's what the truth is. We should not, as Africans, run away from the truth. If we really want to develop, and don't be deceived by people saying that you have 1,000 ethnic nationalities and so on. But one thing you forget to realize, there are people who have a commonality, who can easily form new nations themselves. And there will be peace in Africa and development with all the billions of dollars worth of mineral resources that the gracious Lord has left behind for us. What's the benefit to us? Some of us go around saying, oh, the white man come to steal our mineral resources. Just ask yourself, did they jump into the forest? Did our people not lead them there? Did our people not drive their own people from the land and say, we are acquiring it forcefully without compensation to the people on whose land these minerals are? These are the reality and the truth that we should face. If Africa really wants to change, it has to divorce all the created countries and come back to reality. And let's just look at it. I said earlier about the Bible, and this is the same thing in Africa. You have put people together who don't have anything common except a few of them, and you expect them to have a meaning of the new in quote nations. Is that the definition of nations? Nigeria, is it a nation? It is not. Nations are people of a common ancestral origin, language, culture, tradition, and way of life, and the level of civilization they have attained, either in science and technology. Culture is not just dancing. It is about the way of life of a people and how you are adaptive to it, how you adapt yourself into it. It's not just pé kán gbé eégún as in Yoruba land, or kán máa sáré kan ṣe kíni. No, it's beyond that. Culture is dynamic, right from the beginnings, like from the way you worship, like your system of beliefs, your clothing. It didn't just drop from the sky. The technology with which you make those clothing, Has it been improved? Is it mechanized, industrialized, electrolyzed? That's what Africans have not seen. Keep on blaming the white man for their own ignorance. Yet we are the ones who will buy the most expensive white man's material. Material that they produce for less than 10 pence, we buy it for 100 pounds. And then we are happy. Muragushi. Murabadkon. The boys in Awe in those days were producing some of the best leather goods I've ever come across. Better than Italian shoes, better than Italian bags. What is in those expensive bags our ladies buy? Our boys can produce it from good leather. It's just in a label. Or even this shirt I'm wearing. If I tell you it's 200 pounds or 100 pounds, people would say, oh, it's an expensive shirt. No. Why do we wear labels? It's one of the problems we are facing. And that's where, because we don't know who we are. We think we are pseudo-Europeans. No. We should re-identify ourselves. And that is why I believe strongly that Nigeria as it is composed needs to be dissolved. Both the South and North. Look at the narratives, the dialectics, the arguments all over this. We all grew into it. There's never been any common agreement on any policy to create something, to build something. Rather, look at the Southwest. It's denied the ability to develop. Every year we hear the federal government is going to do something about LS. Is it when we are all there before they do it? You know why? We are not the same people. Policymakers are not us. Look at the railway in Lagos. By now, if we are in the same country, if we were separate from the rest of Nigeria, Lagos and the environs, and we have had at least about 10 metro lines working. Because transportation is the key to rapid economic development. What are we having there? A lot of people, my friends and others, are suffering in silence, trying to develop in the midst of a crunching underdevelopment policy. Then we call it federal matters. The federal government controls certain this exclusive list. What is that? That is the bane of poverty. And the international community, the United Nations, say Africa is capable of, because we do not want to see the truth. The truth is just to redefine ourselves. That's what Ali Madrid said in his time. Africa needs a geopolitical reconstruction on historical lines. And that's the same thing I'm advocating. We cannot continue to run away from our beautiful land. Land that had been blessed with so much. People take advantage of our ignorance and come to mining. I don't blame them. After all, we live on that land. If we say this is the way we want things done, we can even decide the prices. If they say this is the price they can buy it, then leave it. We find a way to have the technology to do what we can with our minerals resources. From way back in the ancient past, our people were in metallurgical industries. Look at even the recent ones, in the front of the Potoki and all the artifacts and the constructions, metal goods with defined symmetry, mathematical symmetry. That's us. We've left it, and then we had goldsmiths in our land, and I hear people, oh, I'm going to Dubai to buy gold, because we have refused to develop our goldsmiths. They were in every town and village, and they did fine things. And the Koras or the Lebanese also came and joined the trade. Find out from Ibadan and other places. Where are they now? And then we stand up. And this is to the women folks. Learn to use your home goods. That's the beginning of our salvation. And for the women folks, if we get our nation back, you know one big problem all women and children are facing? Health. The campaign will be a compulsory free health service and free education and water supply. Without that, we are not developing. It's like we just continue to be part of Nigeria if we cannot achieve those things within the next 1 year of our starting. And these are facts. We need to wake up. We need to wake up to reality. We're just walking the earth. I was young when my great-great-grandmother, a warrior of the past, who participated in the Kiriji Wars from Akuku, a woman, when she celebrates, she's the one who gives money out to people. But now we compete to impress the celebrant. Mama, when people are suffering, have no food at home. We've lost the sense of direction. It's not expecting from you. But what do we have now? It's a very sad, sordid thing. An unnecessary show of wealth. The wealth that could benefit millions of people. You find people have it to us now, foolishly enough, because they know we spray. Some people have gone to invent Naira sprayer. Spray Naira, I think you are in life. You should be crying. You should be crying. Be crying. It's a sad story. Maybe because we've lost the sense of Amoniton, the storyteller in our communities. It helps to tell our people the concept of Omoluabi. Some of us here, our parents, tell us when we do things that is impressive to them. And Omoluabi, but most of us don't know the meaning. We just think it's just a phrase. It has depth beyond just saying it. I'll let you go and find out. I'll not let me tell you everything. We should all work together in these minorities. And I expect questions later on from all of you. It is important that we work together. Let us all work together to find answers to it. I've said a few things, and I want you to remember them. We need our nation back. When I say nation, Yoruba nation. And Yoruba nation in totality. To bring back home all our brothers and sisters spread all over the world that have been there because of slavery, which shouldn't have happened in the first place. If the Native Americans were strong enough to work on those farms, there would have been no need for us. We would have followed our own pattern of development and trade. After before slavery, the Europeans were already setting up embassies in our land. In the Congo, the Kwa Congo sent his son to Rome to learn about the way of the white man. Benin, in the Benin Empire, the Benin Empire, they sent ambassadors to Portugal. And some of them married into the royal family there in Portugal. Find out the story. I'm not going to tell you the whole story about that. It's important. We were respected and reckoned with until slave trade came because of some of the things that happened over in the Americas. If they were strong, there would not be any need for the black race. I don't think any persons have thought about it before. But if they have, they just dropped this a very important question in the analysis of white slave trade. But for the East Africans, the others were more interested in just having people to work for them. And they regard the black race as the wretched of the earth. Despite even their wealth, they did not come with the Albas and chiefs in the black communities they came to. And this is what is still happening. The black Arabs in Nigeria are taking a ride on us. But we think we have been to schools, we have thousands of PhDs, doctors, and all of that. To them, we are just irrelevant. That's a fact. I remember growing up to hearing some of our senior brothers that they accompanied some ministers to conferences in Europe and America, and they prepared papers for them to read. The one from the north, most of the time a Fulani man, he will read the prepared paper by the Yoruba man, who is the assistant secretary or whatever level of academic he has. After reading, then he will tell the audience that my able assistant here will answer all your questions because he doesn't know what the paper contains. That's how we've been ruling ourselves. Can anybody fault what I've just said? It happened. And this is because the little crumbs of escrow accounts that they're going to create, we opted to be slaves right from the beginning. When we were supposed to have had our independence in 1957, we were waiting for our brothers from the north. They in the north said, Nigeria is a British intention, it's not theirs. They don't want it. They don't want our people in their land. We were coming to pollute their land. That's the express statement of their leadership. If a leadership, forget about the followers saying that they are good people. If a leadership says, this is what we want in our community, that's what they want. Look at even the way they voted for Obasanjo in the first election. Despite the fact that Obasanjo did not win in the Southwest, they all voted en masse for him because their leader says so. Is that what is called democracy? We haven't started democracy. We haven't started governing ourselves. We'll be going around in circles, finding a meaning to whatever we think, and even having elections. And calling some elections credible and good. Abiola's election, if you analyze it closely, was born out of his philanthropy, and again because he was a Muslim. So the whole North was convinced that they should vote for him. On second thought, they thought he was not going to win because they have too far against him, a Fulani man. But what happened? The common people voted against the interests of the leadership in the North. And what happened? Abiola cannot be the president of Nigeria. Did he? No. He was stopped. And if even us who could have fought against that, some of us were happy. We did not express and exercise the power of who is me before others. If we did, we would have refused that election. It would have been the beginning of our excising ourselves out of Nigeria, because that was their greatest fear. But unfortunately, some of our people got money and they were kept quiet. Millions of dollars were shared. Can you see why Nigeria cannot develop? Money is just shared amongst people. Money that should have funded free health service effectively. If Western region stayed and became Odua nation or Yoruba nation, or reduced itself to Yoruba land alone, if the Beni and the Yo and Shekiris refused to join, they could be their nations on themselves. There's nothing wrong. We have bilateral relationships. If we did, this year we will be celebrating 67 years of free health service. Just like England celebrated 72 years of free health service last year, it will have been 73 years now. Because their health service was just older than our own by 6 years. When they started theirs in 1948, we started ours in 1954. There are so many things we need to wake up to find out. Or even some of the things we know that we just threw away, were important. Nigeria, and sometimes when I was growing up, there were certain musicians, the Obeys and the Sunny Ades. When they say Colomba to Nigeria, I cringe in my body. To Kinishe. God is not stupid. He gave us our different languages, a culture and tradition. He put us in our different lands. And we are trying to undo what God has done. That's what has been happening with Nigeria. We're trying to force ourselves to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. Even the same man who promoted that language has said earlier, a week before this Keep Nigeria One slogan came, that the basis for Nigerian unity does not exist. It did say no longer. He said does not exist. That's common. We ignore these feelers. We ignore these signs. All in the interest of becoming a parliamentarian, in the interest of becoming somebody attending House of Rep in Abuja, Senator in Abuja, and possibly President in Abuja, without knowing the meaning of what we are doing. And you get to the House, the other people who have a larger majority than you, they speak their language. And sometimes I know when our people start to speak their language, then they tell the other man, maybe it's outside, hey, sorry, don't be annoyed, I'm speaking my language. What the hell? Why do you have to apologize? It happened to me once. A young man, we were sitting down together, and there were two outside boys. They were speaking profusely in their language. They didn't bother that we were sitting. My young man from Ushogbo now said, sorry, don't be annoyed, we are speaking in our language. When do you have to apologize? It's like you are selling yourself a slave. Because we have not identified who we are. Ọmọ Yorùbá kankan tó bá ní pé Yorùbá nation ò ṣeé ṣe, ara ẹ̀ ló ń curse. He's cursing himself. And he will end up not being able to take part in the new nation we are going to. Kì í ṣe pé. But I'm begging them to please retrace themselves. Pé ìlú wa ṣeé ṣe, not Yorùbá nation ṣeé ṣe. Mo lo ti wá. Ṣé bọ́ ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú ní tàbí Ẹ̀gbá tàbí Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́? And who are you then? Tàbí Ìjìgbà in Kaba province? Tàbí San Luis or from Popo or from Ajebandele or Ìsẹ́yìn or Kishi or Badagry? Yeah, Yorùbás. Hearing the doubts in the minds of a few of us is the sadness of not identifying who you are. If you are unable to identify who you are, okay, carry your load and go to Sokoto or Maiduguri, kó lọ máa gbé bẹ̀, kó gbàgbé pé o wá ojọ́mọ Yorùbá, kó dọ̀hún kó dẹ̀ máa ṣe tẹ Yorùbá nìyẹn, tán bá ní fígò jẹ́ dé ilé ẹ̀ dànù. I said it to some of my friends until they understood the import of what I'm saying. Please, I'm talking to the minds and souls of our people. We should all wake up collectively and follow the light that has been shown by Professor Banji Akintoye, who started this great movement. We should talk with one voice through him to the international community. We should be able to bring him to the international arena to have a very powerful press conference over the created nations. Did I say nation? That's an aberration. The created countries in Africa. They are not nations. Our forefathers never created them. I will repeat. So I don't see why we should be shouting about and saying, oh, Nigerian nationalism. Those of us who are Yoruba should be writing about path to Yoruba freedom. Or those of them who are Igbos should write about path to Yoruba Igbo freedom. And the outside should add there. They are using much more wiser. They were suggesting. They were suggesting, one of my books, that Hausa language should become our language. And unfortunately, the President and the Attorney General have exhibited that fact in recent months. During the Ramadan, end of Ramadan, and a message was to come from the head of state. What language did he use? The Hausa language. Or is it Fufude? A language that those of us in the South did not understand. Even though some of us are Muslims, I bet you they didn't understand what he was saying. Then we say we are one country. By default, he has already divorced us out of Nigeria. Not only that, in the process of selecting people to man some of the institutions, like the board of NNPC, the Post Authority, and all other institutions, the predominance of Northerners, then it means the rest of us are not part of the country. What are we still waiting for? Should call for a referendum. It's an imperative now. Not something we are begging for. It's an imperative. If we want to stop the mayhem that is happening. I've illustrated some time ago about the border, the land border between Benin Republic and the so-called Nigeria. On the Yewa axis to Sokoto, if you look at the line, there were certain developments under the Chagarera, this irrigation system and water supply. One of them was completed. The other big one, the same one, the Keregoj Dam, has not been completed since 1970s. When it was 78 or something, that was when it was started. And the General Olusegun Obasanjo said he handed over that project to Shagari to complete. As we speak now, that project is uncompleted. Let's say from 1979 that Shagari took over that mantle to do it. This is 2021. I know some projects, water projects in Yoruba land that broke down in 1988, some dams. Up to today, they still haven't been completed. Yet we say we are running a political accommodation with those people who are making us suffer. And we see it every day. You go to the Federal House, there are preponderance. In 2014, Fashola, governor of Lagos, was almost crying around November 28 or 29 when he made a speech on television. I was in Nigeria then. He couldn't get approval to bring in the vital material for completion of the Lagos Metro because the Committee on Transport says so. They voted against the switch. He can confirm it, Governor Fashola. And again, there, Because of what the ministry gives him, he went to launch 3 dams the same day in the Kabila Plateau, Biu River. While Ikeregod Dam has not been completed, there's nothing said about it. Is it not a matter of seeing yourself as a slave of the government, of the Fulanis? You have not made, and you have the Onyo Dam with even the meager 9 megawatt of electricity capable of serving a large chunk of Ogun State. It's still there unutilized. And the waters of Onyo Dam fills up year in, year out and floods Lagos. Do you know what that water was meant for? It was meant for providing potable water into all homes in Abeokuta and Lagos. It's not been done. All these are enough reasons why we should not continue to be part of a Nigeria that is destroying our development. What about electricity? The massive city of Lagos, look, we are in London, it's just 8 million people. There's no one day, no schedule, when the light just blinked. Just a minor blink. There's none. Yet you have serious load shedding, no electricity in Lagos, yet we keep quiet. And we think we are running a mini PDP or any APC. You should all be ashamed of yourself, living in ignorance, thinking that you are living in light. That is including me, because I include myself. We should all be ashamed of ourselves. That we are not standing up for our rights. It's not only when you carry guns. You have grounds to make a deposition that if the United Nations wants development and Nigeria cannot provide the development, it has not the wherewithal. And it is not even a critical country. Even maybe some quarters internationals, they say Nigeria has a strategic role to play in Africa. It hasn't got any strategic role. Well, in the last deployment of our soldiers to Darfur in the Sudan, they were ill-equipped. And even if you want to know, some of the soldiers have to provide their own uniform and shoes. Is that a country to be proud of? The police, you saw the police barracks, the wretchedness, those barracks were built in the 50s. Nothing done to improve them. They were built in the 50s. Only barracks. Yet we are saying Nigeria, how can it be that? Or you are saying restructuring. What restructuring? That is not it. We have to unravel ourselves from that apron string called Nigeria and then kickstart our development. And like I said, we'll immediately start with prayer so that our children will not be dying. And like that little girl who died during that rally. It could have been a tomb reading if there was electricity. And he will not be running to look, oh God. We have made the road. That girl should not have died. I pray for the family that a great future is coming ahead for the rest of them who are alive. And she will be remembered in the annals of the history of the Yoruba race. She will not be forgotten. She has not died alone. That's one thing I assure the parents. There are many others who have just lost their life free like that. One, because there's no health service, there's no free education, there's no water supply, there's no electricity, there are no gurus, there are no network of railway that are key to economic development. And even there's no proper food management. Sustainable development, housing, using God-given soil, clay bricks instead of cement blocks. In tropical Africa, that's what we should be using, building homes. Luckily, most of countries in East Africa understood this, particularly northern Tanzania, which I've been to some years back. If you see the homes of farmers, you say, beautiful homes. You find him coming out refreshed early in the morning with his own on his shoulder. Beautiful bungalow built of cement, built of clay brick, well set, like as if you are in Europe, like a European small cottage. That's in Africa. That's what I want to see in Yoruba land. We can do it. The technology is not hard. It's an integrated agricultural and housing system, whereby you plant crops, particularly rice, you harvest it, and the shaft, after processing the rice, has high calorific value to fuel the burning of the kilns that will fire the clay bricks. It's a cycle. This will be another topic for another day when we are talking about development and what we need to gain by being out of Nigeria. There's so much. We have young men and women all over the place who can partake in these technological changes and innovation and planning and development. All we need to do is to prompt them up. Do this, do that. Before you know it, they excel. That's the nature of the Yoruba race. It looks like we have buried ourselves down in this manner, in the attempt to retain a Nigeria that is destroying our future. We are no longer going to allow it to do, because we are discovering ourselves. And the message should go around to everybody. We need to rediscover ourselves. We need to know that we need development. And in development, that's where leadership comes from. We don't get leadership before the development. Get development before leadership. And when we are raising that development, it is then that we are making people that will be, okay, you manage this, you do this. It will be like an acclamation. It's not something that you have to brag for. It's your effort. We should all put effort in showcasing development in our new nation. That's important to us. Very important. And you see, within 5 years, we start. Almost every one of us in Europe and America will come back. And Europeans will now be begging to come and invest in some of the activities we are doing, because we have to start it. It's not like no, we start it on our own. We have the wherewithal, we have the manpower, the knowledge, the environment that will support our startup. Our startup should be on our own apron string. So any mobile person, any other person wants to come and invest, we come and invest on our terms, not them giving us terms. That's what has been wrong all along. I might invite you, as if I lopolo. After we've worked in various industries and listen, we have engineers, doctors everywhere who are Yoruba people. What's the purpose of having knowledge that you cannot give back to your people? The ability of your knowledge. When everything is in place for you, you come home, your children have very good schools to attend. The hospitals, they go there without your having to run for a certain amount. I'll tell you a sad story. If I was not here, my mom's granddaughter would have died last year. Is that the type of major we should continue? That's why I say, when we start, free service, free education, water supply, electricity, development of infrastructure, roads, railway, communications, are the things we have to face. Pronto. So we fit into the different sections. We get there. Register. So we now form consortiums for different development stages. Processing food, storage system along the roads, army and police, and security services, and Washobode. There are millions of jobs to start. We should not restrict ourselves into mini chairman, mini president. What president, what chairman? Have you produced for your area? Look at the massive aerodam in Ondo State, Nigeria. If redesigned, could produce electricity to serve a large chunk of Ondo State. And simple tackling of technology. The same thing with Ashejire. It's just training free. I understand when it was being built those days, federal government stopped them from putting generator set in it. And at some point, during the era of Bola Ige, there was a complaint that our diesel, so they pump me, whereas that dam could have been pumping itself. Look at how stupid we are. And that river could be down at several. Look, I've looked at the geomorphology of the landscape, the watershed, the catchment area. The Ocean River could be dammed or even harvested at several locations, up to about 10 locations before it empties into the sea. Same thing with all the other rivers. They are all flowing freely into the sea without any intervention by us. Not even a diversion for irrigation. Because the irrigation policy that was set up by the government under Shagari encompasses the whole country. But where do we find them being used most? In the north. We are sitting on wealth of food, wealth of industry, yet it is not with us. Even the few Awolowo left right behind in Ikeja and the industrial estates, we are the industrial estates in Ikeja and all that. Where are they now? Where are they? All I'm saying in this sense is that there's a great advantage for us to leave Nigeria. And we have to prove to the international community that we are not causing a massive scattering of people. We are rather creating a redefining of a people within each geographical region to develop according to their wish, according to their language, according to their culture. After the federal government has already defined it to us in the guise of the last press conference by the Attorney General, spoke in the Hausa language. So, this is to accommodate the French area in Niger that has already become part of Nigeria. The 12 Sharia states or the Arewa states are actually sovereign Islamic republic within Nigeria. That's one thing. I've been saying that since year 2000. And we were ignoring it at our own peril. Look at what is happening today. There's no border between Nigeria and Niger. That's a fact. If you see anything at all, it's just a markup. You find some places that houses are built across borders, but the borderline is shown. People sit on the pavement, some facing Nigeria, some facing the Niger. And you know one critical thing I saw in one of the pictures. You find the electricity poles in Niger and none in the Nigerian side. What an irony. Well, let me stop so far. Another day, we're going to start talking again. And I will be welcoming some questions that will be monitored by my host, veritable Ade Thomas, a great Ade Thomas, who has made it possible for all of us to be heard. Not me, all of us to be heard. Because I'm with you. You are also with me. That's why I say all of us. Without you listening, I'm nothing. So I thank you all for listening to me. So I'll be calling time now and waiting for questions from our listener. Mr. Ade Thomas. If there are any questions from, and my phone number, once more I remind everybody there's a rally at the front of 10 Downing on tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'll be there. I'll be there not to talk to the Prime Minister, but to talk to us. And the number to call is +1332 600 8995 from the US. And from Britain, +44 203 983 3553. I repeat the numbers again. +1 332 600 8995. That's from the US and Canada, possibly. And +44 203 983 3553. Thank you. Once again, I will remind our listeners, or those who are just coming in, that will be a rally in the front of 10 Downing at 1 p.m. I'll be there. I'm not coming to address the Prime Minister, like I said earlier. Whatever we need to put down collectively is to the Foreign Office. That is where our documents are. Hello? Hello? Ẹ káàárọ̀. Ẹ káàárọ̀. Ta ló ń sọ̀rọ̀? Okay. Mo ti ní àwọn ọmọ tó pọ̀. Yeah. Yeah.
In the 70s. So, I mean, coming from 70s, giving back to around 70s.
Yeah.
Then, I'm happy to the privilege really on the campaign route. This is more
Benny.
Every year, about the Oshoko, Yamba Makari, one is something to the
Benny.
One is something to it's not. Ẹ̀rí wọ́n ti àwọn omi wọ́n ṣe wọ́n ti ẹ̀gbìn power station ó ti jẹ́ pé ìlú ìyá mi ni mo kéré mo dísìpẹ̀ mo rí gbogbo ẹ̀ mo wọ́n ti pé ilé òun lò wọ́n ti pé ilẹ̀ wọ́n ní ìjọba bíi ìyẹn tó máa ń gbé jọ́pẹ́ junction ní àdúgbò.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Wọ́n pe ìṣeré ẹ̀ sọ pé rapid development nípa àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó lè ti bí ìwà ìkọ̀sá ti ṣe rí.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àti ṣe rí gbogbo àwọn ẹni ẹgbẹ́ bá mọ sẹ́kẹ̀ fún ìdálógún ní níbi ìṣòro ní rèé orí western avenue.
Okay.
Bóyá wọ́n ra ilẹ̀ yẹn ni wọ́n kọ̀ wọ́n fi ṣe omi bóyá jákòó ìlú ló ṣe ń gbà ẹ̀ tó ṣe àwọn omi Lagos State Water Corporation.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Wọ́n ṣe bọ́ sí ìṣòro kọlẹ̀.
Àwọn water reservoir locations, yeah.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni ẹgbẹ́ public hospital ní ìṣòro kọlẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe kọ́ sílẹ̀ very massive. We don't supply. We drank from outside. Very okay, and something like saying that. So people know this is the report that to do what to do for the left or what I didn't hear.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni o. Kò sí. Ẹ ṣeun tẹ́ tún rán mi létí àwọn nǹkan ìgbádùn tí mo gbádùn when I was growing up. Because ṣe rí pé nǹkan tẹ́ sọ pé kò kí n sí pé ẹ̀ ń pump omi sókè. wọ́n ṣe àwọn kan tó ń pè ní water tower bírú tẹ́ máa ń rí nínú àwọn fọ́tò American cities and even here, so that gravity omi yẹn ló máa wá force omi dé gbogbo inú ilé àti pẹ̀tẹ́sì mẹ́wàá ní ó máa dókè. All they do is wọ́n á kàn lo ibi tó bá ga ju water tank wọ́n á lo pump in between. So it was well managed. Nǹkan tẹ́ ń sọ ó ń dùn mí pé ànímọ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Bàbá ṣe kábíbá nínú ilé, a máa ń ṣí ṣáwà nínú ilé, mo kéré gbogbo ẹ̀ lálò, ó fún wa náà ló ṣe dípò omi káàkiri tí máa di pọ̀pọ̀pọ̀tọ̀. Wọ́n á sọ pọ́ńtò mi ṣe, wọ́n á fún ọ̀sẹ̀ for a whole day, a máa lọ nínú tó lè dé ta. Tó bá yá, a ti pè é, suddenly, ìgbọ́dọ̀ di pé omi ẹ̀jẹ̀ lọ díẹ̀.
Wọ́n manage ẹ̀ mọ́ ni.
Àbẹ̀sùmára àwọn ọmọ mára bíi ti kẹ̀kẹ́ kiri
pẹ̀lú omi.
Lórí ẹ̀rọ tí bóyá máa mọ ẹnìkan lẹ́gbẹ̀ṣọ̀ lórí board secretariat ní Ọbalẹ́ndé. Board secretariat ní kò yé lọ́balẹ́ndé. Ìgbàdí bàbá nílá kò yé kí wọ́n fi ṣíbẹ̀ wọ́n kọ́ abandon àwọn structures.
Okay, that's another topic for another day. Ẹ máa jà sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀. I have a lot to talk about that. So ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn olùmíì kan tún béèrè question. There are many people. So bó ṣe gan ni for reminding of those beautiful things that we want back. Ẹ ṣeun. Well, before any next question, I will still remind our listeners that tomorrow there'll be a rally at the front of the 10 Downing Street. I'll be there. I'm coming to talk to our people. Because whatever we want to submit is to the Foreign Office, where they will process it and give the Prime Minister an informed position. That's how things are done properly. An informed position, an opinion as to what he cannot just off-cut answer us. No, it's not done that way. We are not in Nigeria. Gbogbo nǹkan ní emergency task force tí ò ní ìtumọ̀. So, and if there's no question coming through, I hope I've not made a mess of my time today, and I pray that you forgive me if I've upset anyone, but the truth shall make us free. We should be waiting for any other call, and if not, we'll close today's session at this junction.
ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ jùmọ̀ kọ orin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àwa ni ògo adúláwọ̀.
Ìgbàgbọ́